Okay, we'll call council time to order. It's November 6th, Wednesday, beginning with a councilor roll call.
Counselor Young,
Here.
Counselor Belcott is out this week. Counselor Bowerman,
Present.
Counselor Marshall,
Here.
Chair Medviji.
Present. Any amendments today?
Yes, I would like to request to remove item 9.2 under executive session.
Okay, 9.2, any objection to removing that? Hearing none? That's the only one? Okay. Okay, so we'll go right to public comment on agenda items only. We are not the UN. COVID's not on. The election's not on. Fluoride's not on.
We have Kimberly,
Agenda items only. Are there any signed up in the room?
just one. I have Kimberly Albon.
Good morning. What a glorious day. Actually, it's afternoon. Kimberly Goheen Elbin, life citizen of Clark County, Washington. I was born in Vancouver, where I took an oath down at the Vancouver Barracks on my 18th birthday to protect America from foreign and domestic enemies. I see that the state of Washington stayed blue, but
Okay,
I'm here to correct the
Political
minutes of
forum.
October
There are no
30th.
political comments
So I'm looking
today.
at
If
the
you're gonna
October
talk over
30th.
me,
Thank
go
you.
ahead and cut the mic.
Are you
there
done, sir?
any signed up online? Okay. Yeah, if I'm talking because you're off track, you don't talk over me. Otherwise, you're cut off. You're not following the rules. Thank you. That concludes public comment. Old business minutes.
Mr. Medvedi, by law, you asked me to get on topic and I get another chance.
I move approval of the minutes.
Okay, I'll second
The
the
motion.
minutes.
CW 42.30.
Is the microphone off? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I give you one more chance.
Hearing none, the motion carries. New business.
There's no new business today.
No business.
Amen. You're in big, deep trouble.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Councilor reports.
I have one.
Go ahead, Karen.
As a liaison to the RTC, which is the Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Council, we had an executive board of directors meeting yesterday, late afternoon. And it was a great meeting. There are two agenda items I'd like to report on. One was the Hood River White Salmon Bridge replacement update, and that was given by Michael Shannon. Many points that he raised about that, but maybe the most important one relative to questions that are raised then about the IBR, their cost estimate has gone from 520 million in 2021 to 1.12 billion today. That is an obvious enormous increase due to many cost increases over time. That was quite illustrative. Another thing that I asked about was the vessel collision pier safety measures that they were taking. And that actually turns out to be one of the main reasons for incredible cost increase, because they found that the piers did not go down to bedrock at all. And so by taking those piers down to bedrock and actually enlarging them, they have the pier safety now, but it wasn't without action. Another question that I raised was why, when there is a shoulder on either side of the 12-foot lanes, are they not simply making additional lanes in order to accommodate future congestion? And the answer to that question was rather complicated, but it boiled down to, among other things, not wanting to increase the cost and wanting to make pedestrian access, bike access, and a place for pedestrians to have an overlook for looking at the river. Then a second agenda item that I found very interesting was on the regional commute trip reduction plan and an update on that. That is known as the CTR, Commute Trip Reduction Plan. It's overseen in our area by the city of Vancouver, and employers with more than 100 employees are subject to this. And the RTC has now set a goal for their drive alone rates of 60% or less. So given that, you know, that this is a goal, where is the county? Well, right now we're at 65.3% of the trips taken are drive alone. And the reason why we are so low, relatively speaking, is because telework, they found in their subjects, went from 3% to 25% in the COVID period. Now, how is that going to change? And if it does, it may very well change where we stand on the CTR. So those were a couple of agenda items that were very interesting, I thought.
Thank you for both of those reports. I just want to add to the first one. I don't have the figures offhand, but I saw the replacement estimate for the Camaslow Bridge too, which had been fully approved and fully funded years ago, is now like quadrupled. So yeah, it's not getting any easier. Glenn, did you have a counselor's report?
Not today, Chair. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to work session request 7.1.
Yes, this is regarding the Rural Event Center Task Force that council approved. April and Brent have been working with this task force. Their work is completed. And so this is just to simply provide the feedback from the task force and get direction from council. And I do have a question. There's nothing urgent to have it happen this year. Any recommendation will probably include a code change. So we'll have to go through that process. So with that said, this council, are you okay with it being in January, or do you want us to try to squeeze this in somewhere?
I think January is soon enough. Will the report back include a code change, or will we have a report back and then get direction and then possibly code change?
I think they're probably going to have the discussion first about what a code change could look like.
Thank you.
Yes.
So anything that could take a month is probably better to take a decade. And we've been working on this on and off. It's going to be a lot of discussion. So, you know, when this first came up and they did all these open houses, there was about solidly 50% of the public didn't want it. Solidly 50% of the public did want it. And then the other part of this is what happens with code enforcement? If you pass all this code, do people take advantage of it? How do you enforce it with the existing code enforcement team that we have now? I think you're going to have a lot of challenges. I'm happy to have this put off until the new year. Karen, Glenn, what
I
are your
am as well.
preferences? To put it off till the new
Put
year?
it off, yes.
Okay, I think that's universal. And then 7.2, the community's bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee.
Yes, part of their bylaws indicate that they will have an annual meeting with the county council sometime at the end of February. They're asking for the beginning of March of next year, just to go over items that they completed in 2024 and get input on 2025 work plan.
Glenn, Sue, sound good?
Sounds good.
And so we have 3 to move it forward. I'm in favor of it. And Karen, I'm assuming you are as well. Yes. Okay, universal. Jordan, policy updates.
Good afternoon, Council. Jordan Bogey, Policy Analyst. Today, I just have one policy update for you, looking for a little bit of guidance, or at least to begin a conversation with Council. As you're aware, regionally, there is a group, the Clark County Transportation Alliance, that includes all of the cities in the county, as well as the county and other stakeholders. They are putting together their 2025 policy statement. It is very similar to 2024's policy statement, as many of these projects are long-term transportation projects, and a lot of the goal of this group is to bring everyone together so that we can maximize our ability to lobby the legislature for Southwest Washington's transportation needs and include all the different projects related to that. And so you'll see that the county in particular, the items H and I are related to the county's top transportation project priorities around the 179th Street projects that are happening right now and maintaining the funding that has already been allocated for those projects. There is also, you'll see under facilitating transportation mobility, economic growth, and equity, a bolded note about placing a high priority on long-range land use and strategic transportation corridor planning. That is their effort to support the third corridor, that the council's been raising for quite some time now. And so basically at this point, what they are hoping for is for each of the member jurisdictions to approve this policy statement. And so we would be looking for direction from council to say, do you support our inclusion, the county's inclusion in this policy statement? And if so, we would send the county's logo and basically what they do with this Transportation Policy Alliance statement is they put all of the different member jurisdictions logos on the back so that they can say, hey, we've got 50, 60 jurisdictions and organizations that are in support of this. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on this document, and would also welcome any thoughts from council and how you're feeling about this.
So I'm going to admit, I didn't read this one in detail, since year to year, they're essentially pretty similar. And year to year, we fought for at least that additional bullet and bolding and maybe underlining. The question I have in detail, if you have it, is there any bullet in here that supports light rail?
I don't know if so the I-5 bridge replacement is action number 1. But I don't know that there's anything in here specifically around light rail on the bridge in particular. They do talk about multimodal solutions, but they don't necessarily talk about whether that's rapid bus transit or light rail.
Or bicycles or walking?
Exactly.
Other questions by council?
I have 2. Number 1, under R on the right-hand column, there's public transit. And what does that refer to, do you think? Is that only bus? C-Trans extension
That's
of the
correct.
BRT line, yeah.
Yes, so that is in reference to the bus rapid transit line in particular.
Yeah, and so I don't see any light rail either, but maybe some other eyes should look at it one more time. I would like to request in the second column on the placing high priority on long range land use, rather than just transportation corridor, that be designated the third corridor. Because what is transportation corridor? That could be anything. We always refer to this as the third corridor. So I'd like to see it be explicit in that way.
Other questions? Council Marshall.
Yes, I have a question. Who from the county is represented on this group?
So, so I attended the last meeting. I do believe that they just have a couple of meetings a year, bringing stakeholders together for the purpose of this particular policy document. I know that a lot of the development of this does come from RTC and the partners there. So I know that some of the conversations and input come via RTC to the Transportation Alliance.
Okay. And just a note on corridors, I think there are additional corridors we should be planning for. So I'm fine with the more generalized statement.
Glenn,
Well, then let's put both.
go ahead, Karen. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I'd
talk
say
over you.
then let's put both. I don't know which generalized corridors you're referring to, but whatever they are, let's just put transportation corridor, including the third corridor capitalized, and then it would be clear.
I'm fine with that. And the corridors I was thinking of is more bus rapid transit east-west in the county along some of the areas that are developing with more multifamily housing.
Glenn, did you have questions or comments?
No, I'm still having troubles locating exactly the location that we're talking about.
It's right above the picture of the
Oh,
cars
the
there.
bold
Yes,
part?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with that. I mean, I know that we're one of multiple jurisdictions, so I don't know that, yeah, I mean, we can request that they change that. I don't know what the process is exactly, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's pretty close to fully baked, but I am happy to make that request. And I guess I would also seek guidance to say if what I'm hearing from council is essentially supportive of this document as written, but would like to also make the request to say we really want, in addition to the strategic long range corridor planning, to specifically say also including the third corridor across, or the third corridor across the Columbia River as a piece of that bolded statement, essentially.
So here's my input. Number one, I could say third corridor or third or more corridors. I'm fully supportive of what Karen is asking, and I agree with Glenn at this point. I mean, I was never involved in writing this, and whether the RTC ghost writes it for Identity Clark County, I wouldn't speculate on that. It may be fully baked at this point, as you just stated. I would at least support making the request just to say a little bit more along the lines of what the council has been saying for the last couple of years, particularly. So this has a lot of players. There's a lot of work behind this. It's an amalgam of so many subjects. So no document's perfect, and a lot of work went into this one, as it does every year. So I'm fully supportive of putting our county logo on it. I'm hoping all the counselors are. So can we just get a thumbs up? Are you all supportive of putting the county logo on it? Okay.
Yes.
Everyone is agreeing with that. And then, so Glenn, were you supportive of tweaking or at least requesting tweaking a third quarter language on that highlighted?
Yes.
bolded? Okay, so
And
are you
just
okay
for
with that too? All right, so-
clarity, and
yes.
for clarity, if they don't accept that change, is council still comfortable putting the county logo on this?
Yeah, so I am.
Yes.
I
I am too, but I think that they will make the change in the same way that last year or the year before, I can't remember. We thought it was fully baked, and they added that bolded statement there that wasn't there previously. So I think they're responsive.
Yeah, so if Matt Ransom's listening to this at some point, please do it for us. Thank you. Okay, so other topics?
That was all I had for you today, Counselor.
Super. All right, so we have one executive session still left, 9.1 RCW 42.30.110 paren 1 paren G for approximately 10 minutes. I'll give us a little bit more time. And every clock's different, but my watch, which is synchronized with satellites, is 13:20. Let's say we'll come back at 25 minutes before the hour of 2. So 1:35. So we'll be in recess from this session and go into executive session. And how are we doing that today? Are we actually remote?
You'll be on your computer.
Okay. All right, so everybody log in, executive.
Would you please announce that there is no after action?
And there's no after action on our one executive session. Now we're in recess.
Yes, hello. Just FYI, the council chair wanted me to announce that the work session is going to be extended for 25 minutes, and they will come back in open session at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Hello, the chair has asked me to announce that the executive session is going to be extended for another 10 minutes, and open session will reconvene at 2:10. Thank you.
Okay, we've got 3. All right, we have no action to take after our meeting with the lawyers in an executive session. There's no further business. We stand adjourned.